Welcome. Glad you could be here. Settle in, spread the word, let people know I'm live and full of vim and vigor, and excited to see you. And don't forget, I don't know if is there a dinner bell we ring for the trolls to make sure there's enough of them here to keep us kind of marginally amused by their existence. I always hope so, and yet sometimes they're just late to the game, and then I'm already on something as far as a storyline or an information point, or I'm, ranting, and it's hard to break my flow just to deal with them. So it would be nice if they got in early, got it out of their system, and then sat back and learned a few things. But I'm live, and here we are. It's just the 1,000 of us. By the way, our numbers are growing increasingly. I think I'm beginning to know why. I mean, besides the fact that I'm charming, lovable, caring, committed to the ethics and morals that I present to the world, and have been consistent in I would say 98% of my predictions have come true. Besides that fact, I think there's also a factor that comes in, which is, how do I put this out? This is that in terms of other left broadcasters. Now, it is a little bit of splitting hairs here, because in the traditional sense of right and left, the actual terminology comes from, I think, French Parliament, where the people on the right were pro-monarchy and the people on the left were pro-parliament, meaning any parliamentary form of governance, representative government, in which case, welcome one and all, we're all on the left. Then once you get where everybody's in that left, then there's a spread about how much executive power exists in the parliament versus how much individual sovereign power. And the extremes would be that the extreme executive concept, that like Bush one's crowd really liked and pushed, and then of course was used to create a legal basket for some of the more egregious things that the second Bush White House did. And then on the far left of it is just a complete anarchist, quasi-communist, sovereign citizen, libertarian orgy of nonsense. And both being nonsense, obviously, the sort of, well, we won't have a king, but we'll basically have a king, which is the far right of the liberal world that we all live in. Sorry. And the rest of us kind of bounce around in there trying to make the best of the world under a democratic governance system, except for those that don't want it to exist, of course. And having an enlightened and smart conversation about what's possible, what's reasonable, and what we're capable of, and what those capabilities, if misused, could lead to. So therefore, you might want to temper some of your expectations and demands based on reality, so that you don't unleash some unintended consequences that actually are more damaging than shit that was happening in the first place, because you care about people. And you're like, hey, I know this might be a dumb idea, but let's go all in on my dumb idea. I don't care what happens to folks. That kind of thing, like not voting. In the world of kind of mouthy, progressive liberal broadcasters, I'm kind of alone in the supporting democracy thing right now. And the irony is like right when it's starting to work, for the first time in months. And maybe that's because I have a living outside of this. So if the government actually becomes functional and kind of boringly normal again, I mean, I can, if we go back to a Clinton kind of situation, I can make jokes in comedy clubs and not have to alleviate people's anxiety through truth telling and punching holes in right wing and hyper left lies the way I have. I'm currently doing. I've got something else to do. They don't have anything else to do. And I know you're thinking, well, why would you think that these folks would wish more evil on the country this fall? I mean, we've got a midterm coming up. We have a hair's breadth margin in the House and Senate. We're actually seeing a chance to where the polls are pointing that we may actually grow our majority in the Senate this fall because of the Supreme Court and their overreach. That would be turning bad news into good news, where we could do something about it. You would think that people would go, oh, well, we definitely got to be all in on this. Apparently not. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the pure essence, the Gelfling juice that Bloody McSkexis is refining out of it. Here's the statement. This one's what stuck out to me. Here you go. All right, here you go. You ready?
Mention on the record. Nah, the Democrats aren't on your side. They're sons of bitch liars who never get called out by the press because they're all best friends.
Yeah, that's it's fucking July and the election is in November, and everybody on the Democratic side is pulling every switch they can to try and make sure we maintain majorities in the House and Senate, which again are razor fucking thin. They are not we do not have majorities that are indicative of a populace that's all in on what we're trying to get done or trying to, the programs we support. And the people that are on the other side, apparently there's sort of this 50-50 namby-pamby idea, coin flipping idea, where on the other side, literally, the Republicans have said through Rick Scott's proposal and through what the GOP of Texas has written in their platform, that we're just going to sunset Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, fuck Medicare for all, Medicare for fucking nobody. That's the choice. And these guys are like, you know what? These guys are assholes. They don't do anything, even though Biden's done practically everything he can since getting into office. This is lunacy. And again, they have to act like this. They have to, I suppose, because the only other alternative is to admit that they played a huge part in Trump getting elected and in the Supreme Court justices that got into office getting in there and staying in there. Yeah. This is like friggin' goofy. But again, this isn't like something, as soon as Biden got into office, the first executive orders he signed, were like, I'm going to get rid of Roe v. Wade. Like that, this is the reaction. Like he did it. Like he got in office and he signed off on this happening. And, or that he had, there was actually a seat up for the SCOTUS when he came in, and he was the one who put Barrett in, or he was the one who, or he put somebody in who was kind of middle ground, who was like sided with them half the time. That kind of reaction would make sense if that were the case. But their reaction, apparently their anger, is based on the fact that the Biden White House, since the leaked Roe v. Wade opinion, and their waiting game of seeing if the leaked version was actually going to match what was ruled on, which makes a difference in your legal response, have been going back and forth and going, how do we actually gain these, what do we do to actually solve these problems within the limits of the presidency? Because it will require legislation to fix it for real. And Democrats of Cenk's ilk, which I don't necessarily know that I would call him a Democrat after that, people who allegedly pretend to be Democrats in this case, who, were conservatives, originally launched a show called The Young Turks, named after basically the brown shirts, the Armenian genocide. And, which, by the way, for the record, the Jacobins were like the French version of the Young Turks. They were a murderous group as well. And Anna's on both shows, the Jacobin and the TYT. I don't know. It's very strange. They play fast and loose with those terms, or just don't give a shit, apparently. But if Biden had done any of those things kind of in the first month, like, I knew it, he sold out right away. He's responding within the limits of the powers of the executive branch as best he can, considering this, and also considering that there aren't a shit ton of Dem voters on Cenk's side that are lining up like, we got to support this president so that he can codify Roe v. Wade. He has stated, Biden has stated, we need legislation to codify Roe v. Wade. And what has the reaction been from that crowd? We're not showing up. Well, then why the fuck would Democrats even attempt to, quote, run on codifying Roe v. Wade, other than the fact that they actually give a shit and they don't care what he thinks, but they care about the safety and health of women? Why would they go, wow, we got to be loud and proud about this when they're not getting any of the support? And they're up against voters who are very motivated and inspired to guarantee that Roe v. Wade isn't codified. Those people never lost hope. They helped elect Donald Trump too. And their purpose was, I don't care if he's a pussy grabbing, grotesque, lying schmuck. If he gets Roe v. Wade overturned, he's God's missile. And that's enough for me. It's so bizarre. All right. Now, also, one of the things is why is that one of their primary focuses? That was today. That was from their live stream today. Just me clicking in on stuff to see if they were where they were and stuff, because I don't watch the show. So occasionally, because this stuff has been coming up, I'm like, are they always doing this? They're always doing this. That's what they do now. The TYT has moved into full mute the vote. That's their whole purpose.